Welcome back. This is the San Francisco 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I'm Chase Sr., and once again, we are live from Super Bowl 58 Radio Row in Las Vegas. And coming up on the show, you're going to have an opportunity to hear from multiple Niners players, a couple of exclusive interviews on the docket in the lead up to Super Bowl 58. But speaking of that game, we'll be back for another watch party on Sunday. Kansas City Chiefs, San Francisco 49ers. And I don't know, we did a 2-hour pregame show for the NFC title game against the Detroit Lions. Should we go live 3 hours before Super Bowl 58? Tell us by hitting that thumbs up icon and liking the video. Our sponsor for today's show, and if you want to go to the big game in Las Vegas, is Game Time. Looking to go to a Niners game, a concert, comedy show, theatrical event, whatever you want to do. If you're looking for tickets, Game Time has you covered. With the free download, you're guaranteed to get the best seats at the lowest price guaranteed, and prices drop as the event gets closer. Again, if you want to go to the big game here in Las Vegas between the Niners and the Chiefs, Game Time running a special big game promo, $100 off using the code VEGAS100. We're going to put all of this information available for you down in the comment section as well as in the description of this video. You can also, for first-time users, plug in the code NinersChat and you can get $20 off. Game Time, our presenting sponsor for today's San Francisco 49ers Report from Las Vegas. Our coverage of Super Bowl 58 made possible by them. Want to start off here with my interview with Brock Purdy. Had an opportunity to spend a couple of moments with him. And what I like to do in these types of scenarios, in these types of settings, when there are so many media members, is ask a compelling question that forces the athlete or the coach to expand on something that I find very, very interesting, that I think our audience is going to find intriguing. And when you think about Brock Purdy, drafted by San Francisco, Mr. Relevant, but this is a very well-run organization. Jed York, the owner, John Lynch, the general manager, head coach Kyle Shanahan. He has some great weapons on the offensive side of the football. Trent Williams at left tackle, Christian McCaffrey in the backfield, George Kittle at tight end, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Jauan Jennings. And then this defense is also loaded with the likes of Nick Bosa, as well as Fred Warner. Multiple all-pro, future Hall of Famer, Pro Bowl level players on this Niners team with a good front office and a very good coaching staff. Not a lot of other young quarterbacks are able to have a situation like this early in their careers. And going into the draft, when players do get selected, some of these young quarterbacks in the NFL have so much talent, so much ability, so much potential, but they go to an organization that lacks stability, that lacks a winning tradition, that isn't well run from the ownership level to the front office to the coaching staff. And because of that, they don't make the necessary hirings at head coach. They don't have a lot of good weapons on that roster because teams naturally picking early in the draft usually aren't that good. And what ends up happening? Those quarterbacks end up failing. So I asked Purdy about what it means to come to the San Francisco 49ers, an organization that's won 5 Super Bowls, to be surrounded by some high-level people like he is. And then my follow-up question was, within this Niners organization, Joe Montana is arguably the greatest quarterback of all time, and he starred for the Niners, winning multiple Super Bowls for this organization. Steve Young won a Super Bowl, and he's considered to be one of the top quarterbacks of all time. What's it like for Purdy to be able to talk to and be influenced by and to lean on the likes of Joe Montana and Steve Young? And here's what Purdy had to say about all that.
Brock, so many quarterbacks come into the league and they're really talented, but they go to organizations that might lack stability. You get to come to San Francisco and you have a good owner in Jed York, really good general manager in John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan, and a lot of weapons, but also a rich history with great quarterbacks in Joe Montana as well as Steve Young. What's it meant for you to land here? Obviously, it's taken some luck, and how has the history of the Niners organization propelled you to have this early success and put you on the right path?
Yeah, exactly what you said is true. You know, we got such a great organization. Obviously, from the ownership down, John Lynch, Kyle, to the team that we have. For me as a quarterback coming into the league, it's been a blessing to have such a great supporting cast around me. Obviously, the keys weren't just given to me or anything; it had to be earned. And I've come in day one just obviously trying to learn Kyle's system, his playbook, and earn the respect of my teammates. And then over time, I've been able to step into that role and be ready for my opportunity. But yeah, at the same time, man, I have a lot of help around me, and it's allowed me to develop, and I'm going to continue to develop with the help and the cast that I have around me. So more than anything, I'm grateful for it, and there's a lot more room for me to grow.
What's the tutelage of Joe Montana and Steve Young done for you?
Can you say it again?
What's the tutelage of Joe Montana and Steve Young done for you as a young player?
Yeah, I mean, obviously just what they've done, for this organization, the history. For me as a quarterback, it's like, all right, there's obviously some big shoes to fill, and I'm not going to compare myself to them or anything, but, they've set the standard for winning in this organization. When you look at the 49er logo, you think of success and Super Bowls because of those guys. So that's, something that I have in the back of my mind, like, all right, there's a standard here. And then at the same time, when I talk to them, they've been so great to me and supporting me and everything. And when you talk to them, when you're in their presence, you're obviously in the presence of greatness. They got the job done, and so definitely makes you think like, all right, let's step it up, and obviously let's live up to the standard that they set.
And a few more thoughts about Brock Purdy. Monday, Tuesday, he's really been so composed. Year 2 player, massive stage, bright lights, going up against Patrick Mahomes. What a quarterback matchup. Mr. Irrelevant. He's been cool, calm, and collected. He's been composed. It hasn't seemed as though Brock Purdy is really fazed by the moment. He's just kind of been himself and handling everything very, very well. And I think the temperature of how he's carried himself is a good indication for how he could play in Sunday's game against Kansas City. Next up, Deommodore Lenoir. I thought one of the turning points for the San Francisco 49ers defense this year, they start off 5-0. They lose those 3 consecutive games to the Cleveland Browns, Minnesota Vikings, and Cincinnati Bengals. They go into the bye, and the defense during that 3-game skid couldn't stop the run. They were awful in the secondary. Isaiah Oliver was getting targeted over and over again at slot corner for San Francisco after the Niners signed him to a deal in free agency. And going into the bye, we had some conversations here on the show. Steve Wilks has to make an adjustment. You're not getting to the quarterback. The secondary has not been good. You're bad at tackling, and you're doing nothing to really help yourselves and not stopping the run either. What can San Francisco do to fix things? You have to bench Isaiah Oliver. Move Deommodore Lenoir to the slot. That's what the Niners did. And it is not easy to go from outside corner to slot, but then to play at a really, really high level. Deommodore Lenoir has been able to do that, and I thought it really helped this Niners defense find its groove. You move Ambry Thomas to the outside in the regular season. He was really good. Playoffs, not good. Has to play better against Kansas City, but that has allowed this secondary to play better football. Ask Deommodore Lenoir about that. We find out he grew up in a household with 21 siblings. He mentioned that because I asked him, where does that dog come from? Deommodore Lenoir right now on the Niners Report.
I thought one of the turning points of the season came after that 3-game losing streak going into the bye when you moved to the slot. Ambry Thomas moved to the outside. I thought the defense was really able to take it to the next level. What were those conversations like when Steve approached you about moving into the slot, and what's allowed you to make that seamless transition from outside corner to slot, because it's not easy?
It was he really didn't approach me like it was kind of like it was on what's better for the team, because I'm a team player first, I would say, and when it was up for a discussion, I mean, to help the team out, it was a no-brainer.
What's allowed you to make that transition though to slot?
I've always been a competitor, so I just guess my competitive nature just took over, and really it wasn't that big of a difference as far as covering and stuff. It was just more like you got to know where the places on the field and the timing of throws, and just reading your run gaps and run keys.
A lot of your offensive and defensive teammates talk about you having that dog in you, and you bring it out on the practice field. We see it publicly during the games. Where does that come from?
I would say having 21 siblings, growing up in a big house, with a lot of people, and, you got to kind of defend yourself sometimes. So I think that came about and just, brought that dog.
21 siblings in a household. I still can't get over that. Sometimes it would be crowded for me during my upbringing and childhood with just my sister, who sometimes we would just argue because we didn't have enough space. 21 siblings, that is wild. But great to hear from Deommodore Lenoir right there. Ambry Thomas is going to have to have a big game. Deommodore Lenoir is going to be tested in the slot. Javon Hargrave is also going to have to come to play. And he's nicknamed the Grave Digger. He's going to have to play like a grave digger in order for San Francisco to win that 6th Lombardi trophy. Hargrave is in a very unique situation. Not a lot of times can a player say that with 2 different teams, he's been to back-to-back Super Bowls. Last year with Philadelphia, this year with the Niners. And Hargrave has experience in trying to pursue and sack Patrick Mahomes. He wasn't successful in doing that a year ago. Can he do that this year and provide San Francisco with that vaunted pass rush, which has gone missing over the last couple of weeks, and really dominate the interior, push the interior, so that you can muddy up the pocket to try to force Patrick Mahomes into a mistake, or so that you can put him under pressure. Hargrave also isn't known to be a great run stopper, but he's going to have to be good on that end as well. If Javon Hargrave plays a really good game against Kansas City, I love the Niners' opportunity to win this Super Bowl. So asked him about going to back-to-back Super Bowls, where the nickname the Grave Digger comes from, and hopefully he's going to be able to get to Patrick Mahomes on Sunday.
Your experience last year going up against Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Philadelphia had 70 sacks last year, 15 more than any team. You were a part of that with 11. No sacks in the Super Bowl, though. How does that experience kind of benefit you going into this game with this defense against Mahomes again?
We just know it's gonna take everybody. Patrick Mahomes and the offensive line gonna make it hard, but we just gotta play as a unit and rush together, and hopefully we can get them down.
Not a lot of players can say they've been to Super Bowls in back-to-back years. Have you taken a moment to kind of sit back and reflect on what this journey's been like for you?
Yeah, I've definitely had 2 long seasons, so I definitely thank God every day for giving me this opportunity. But man, I just want to win it now.
What's the origin of Gravedigger, your nickname?
I think it was just off of when they take my last name Grave, and it was my DC from college. He just kind of did the Grave Digger, and I put it on Instagram, and that's what everybody ever called me.
And if the Grave Digger can dig some holes to put the Chiefs in there, Niners hoist the Lombardi trophy, we're going crazy right here on the Niners Report during our watch party and post-game show. Jauan Jennings, 3rd and Jauan. He's been so clutch for this Niners offense, really falls under the radar because of Christian McCaffrey, 2,000 all-purpose yards this year. Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, both more than 1,000 all-purpose yards. George Kittle, 1,000 receiving yards for the first time since 2019. And because of the star power and the name value of those aforementioned players, sometimes defenses and other people kind of forget that Jauan Jennings is a really, really good player who I think has had to prove himself as a late-round pick, obviously, but represents the fabric of what this Niners team is all about. Toughness, physicality, player development. And with that, the fans really gravitate to a player like Jauan Jennings. The red hair certainly helps. He wanted to give a shout-out back out to the faithful for all of the love that he gets, and he's saying, yo, Niner fans, thanks for taking over Las Vegas and being the best traveling fan base in the National Football League. You got to bring it on Sunday, too.
Faithful, man. Faithful to the Bay. It's everything that it beholds. That's what the faithful are. They come and make the games easier. Every away games feel like a home game, and that's what it's about.
Love Jauan Jennings' energy, and I think it's infectious for this football team. He blocks somebody, he pancakes somebody, you see the rest of the team go wild, and then when he picks up that big 3rd down conversion, everybody celebrates around him. That's a dude who's respected in the locker room. The same can be said for Kyle Juszczyk, team leader, looked at as a team captain. He's been with this team for a long while, and under head coach Kyle Shanahan, his career has gone on a completely different trajectory. And he's been the best fullback in the game now for the last several years. He was on the 2019 team that lost to the Kansas City Chiefs in Super Bowl 54. He's looking to exact revenge. And not only has his play taken off, his popularity has really taken off with his wife, Kristen Juszczyk, putting together all of these jackets. It started with Taylor Swift. The media scrum around Kyle Juszczyk was wild. He's become even more popular than Juice already is. And we had an opportunity to get a couple questions in with Kyle Juszczyk, and he spoke glowingly of head coach Kyle Shanahan, how Shanahan's been able to change Juice's life and what winning for Shanahan would do for Juice as well as Kyle.
There's a lot of different ways I could go with that, because I have so much love and respect for Coach Shanahan, and he truly has changed my life by bringing me out to San Francisco, and I'm so thankful for him. So I don't know if this isn't like, he's very honest, and he'll always say that sometimes he's honest to a fault, and that's something that I respect so much about him, and something that I appreciate, and what I want from my head coach is somebody that he's just going to shoot it straight. He's going to tell me the absolute truth, why we're doing something. And there's been many times that I've gone into his office with questions, and he's never shied away from it. He's never tried to butter me up. He's never tried to, get out of an awkward conversation. He'll tell me what it is, and it's so much easier for me to process when I just get the truth. And then we're able to communicate better. And I guess I'm not going to dive into the exact details of it, but I love his honesty. Honestly, we haven't really talked much about that. I don't think that, obviously we want to do that for him. But I think our main focus isn't like, hey, we want to win this for this guy. We want to win this for this guy, which obviously, there's a lot of guys that we want to do that for. We want to get Trent a Super Bowl win. I want to get myself a Super Bowl win. It's really about getting us a Super Bowl win. I feel like we see ourselves as a unit, and it's not so much about our individual paths and our goals. This team really right now, we know that if we can get our team goals, that's going to satisfy everybody's individual goals.
And one of my takeaways and observations from having my boots on the ground here in Las Vegas is every single Niners player that I have spoken with has been genuinely enjoyable to talk to. High character, engaging in really stimulating conversations. They're excited to convey their love for the game of football, for this Niners organization. And it's really a credit to the culture that Kyle Shanahan has been able to build. And multiple players have gone out of their way to talk about that. That's a big reason why San Francisco has made it to 3 NFC Championship games in a row, 4 in the last 5 years, why they've had sustained success, because there is a standard. There is an expectation for excellence within this Niners organization. It's also a credit to how this front office has been able to draft, develop, and sign players that fit their vision, that are high character players. And again, it kind of starts with Kyle Shanahan as well as John Lynch, and you can just tell this is a very well-run organization, a very well-run business. And for the Niners to win one for Kyle Shanahan, not only to me does it make him one of the most respected offensive minds ever if he's not already in that category, but if he gets a Super Bowl ring, he'll certainly be there. And Fred Warner, Deebo Samuel on Monday night, I talked to them about that culture, and they were very complimentary of what Kyle Shanahan's been able to do for them individually, but also this team.
Man, amazing coach. Amazing coach. He went up there to Miami. He's still doing amazing things. Coach Solid. He was here when I was a rookie. All the energy that he brings and the love that he has for the game, not only for the game but for his players. I knew his time was coming in. To me, though, being here since I've been here, the energy that he brought, how smart he is out there on the defense, and he had a top 5 defense when he was here. So it's kind of Kyle, but it's also a part of them as well.
What have you learned from Hank working with him?
Oh, my dog, Hank talk, man. Man, it's being there with Hank every day, man. It's if you walked in there and listen to me and Brandon and you and how me, him, and Hank talk, you would think we don't like each other. But at the end of the day, man, Hank is one of my favorite coaches, man. We bump heads a lot, but that comes with the job. We always not going to agree on everything, but if you look at it Kyle is not going to hire somebody he don't know that he don't think can help. And so Hank also played for Kyle, so therefore he already got all the knowledge that he needed to have coming in to be our coach. And I think, man, the man did an outstanding job.
I asked Fred this earlier, but why do you think culture is important to sustain success?
Like I said, with Kyle and Jen and John, the culture that they built, like, of course, the players and the coaches that they brought around, like, this is they doing. You know what I'm saying? Like the fans, like how well we playing. You know, they put the game plan together and give it to us, and our job is go out there and operate at a high level. I feel like everything starts from here and it's just trickling out.
And why do you think it's important for you to be a part of that as a team leader and captain?
Man, I think it's important because, I mean, if they wouldn't have drafted me, if anything, I could be a big part of this thing.
Thank you. Why is culture important to sustain success, and why do you take pride in being a leader of that culture?
Yeah, I think, every year there's a new crop of guys that are coming in and out of that building. The team that we had back in 2019 is much different from the team that we have now. But being able to get back to this stage is because of that culture that Coach Shanahan and John Lynch have created, of bringing the right guys in the building, creating a standard of excellence here with the 49ers and the level of play style that we play with week in and week out. And if you don't do those things, you probably won't be here very long.
How would you say?
Those are two pillars of your organization right there, two team captains in Fred Warner as well as Deebo Samuel. And Kyle Shanahan looks at players like that to lead by example, but again, they lead because of the leadership from head coach Kyle Shanahan. Want to round out the show with Chase Young. And obviously, Chase Young has been scrutinized for his lack of effort against the Detroit Lions in the NFC Championship game. To his credit here from Las Vegas, he's even said, "We can't have that. I can't have that." And he's been upfront about the Niners and him individually having to put forward more of an effort. So we're going to play a clip from Chase Young about that, as well as the importance of this Niners defensive line, which is deep, going up against a very good Kansas City Chiefs offensive line, which could determine the outcome of this game on Sunday.
Yeah, we already know that we're going to be rotating. It's going to be a game where you got to give it all every play, literally, leaving it every ounce of, everything you have in your heart on the field. So we know we're going to have to roll them. I feel like we're all prepared. We're all ready. Randy Gregory could start this game. Robert Bill could start this game. I don't believe it's a fall off. So I feel like we're prepared. Yeah, we just can never stop, can never give up on the play. You might think Mahomes is about to throw the ball and he'll still keep it and run the other way and, get it out on the other side of the field. That's just the type of magician that he is when he's back there. So we just have to do our best to just keep pursuing them and just can't slow down.
You say that the effort then is even more important?
For sure.
Like that, you have to extend.
Yeah, for sure. Effort is important every game.
And obviously the lack of effort from Chase Young and other Niners defenders in that NFC Championship game was a big talking point right here on the 49ers Report. Became a massive talking point for Niner fans everywhere. And as we talked about on the show, this is a subject matter that San Francisco addressed internally. But also John Lynch spoke about it publicly. Steve Wilks called it embarrassing. Kyle Shanahan said we can't have that. It's not our standard. Fred Warner saying something along those lines as well. That message seems to have gotten across, and that's not going to fly against Kansas City because if you have that lack of effort, they're going to make you pay and they're going to burn you. Before we hop on out of here, make sure you join us on Sunday for our Niners Chiefs Super Bowl 58 watch party. Should we do a 3-hour pregame show? Tell us by hitting that thumbs up icon like in the video. Plenty of great content still to come all throughout this week from Vegas. So make sure you subscribe, turn on those notifications, and stay tuned.